All right, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and honors to all you brothers that are kicking this word in truth and in sincerity, enduring afflictions to bring out this word, which that's the whole purpose of us being on the earth. Yahbashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'akwadash Rakah, Barakatham, to all you sincere listeners, including the women and children. Okay, so I'm getting to the lesson. It's based off of what's going on in the relationship with the United States and Britain. And before I get into that, I know, brothers, you may watch the different videos, and you may have been learning for a year or two or three, and you might, and I've heard this before from dudes, and a lot of them, they fell out. Like, well, damn, I'm not really learning anything new, because of the time that we're in. The focus is on prophecy, building up the brotherhood. So you might not hear no profound revelation. Yet that's because we're reading these articles, watching these videos, and then filtering it through the scriptures. So a lot of the same precepts are going to come out. Why? Because we're in a time of particular prophecies coming to pass. So this is 2 Peter 1:12, and we're supposed to continually remind brothers, okay, this is an update on prophecy. Hey, remember, this is what was foretold, and this is the fulfillment of the prophecy. So 2 Peter 1:12, wherefore I will not be negligent to put you always in remembrance of these things, though ye know them and be established in the present truth. Yeah, so there's certain things you may know. You may have heard that precept. You might have just heard it a few days ago. Yet it's still profitable. Wherefore I will not be negligent to put you always in remembrance of these things. Yeah, remember, this is the prophecy coming to pass. This is what was foretold in the book of Mark, the book of Luke, so on and so forth. Though ye know them and be established in the present truth. Yeah, so this grounds you. This keeps you established. Oh yeah, man, the Lord is actually making good on what he said. Okay, so I'm going to read this. It's Jeremy Corbyn says U.S. is not Britain's most important relationship as he hits out at offensive Donald Trump. Labor leader says there will be robust discussions when the U.S. president does come to Britain, which they had I believe it was 2 million people sign a petition saying they ain't want Trump to come to the U.K. Jeremy Corbyn has questioned the so-called special relationship between Britain and the U.S. as he condemned endless offensive comments from Donald Trump. Yeah, and the special relationship, I got it right here. The special relationship is an unofficial term for the political, diplomatic, cultural, economic, military, and historical relations between the UK and the US. It was used in a 1946 speech by Winston Churchill, which that dude was a coward, or they exalt him like he was some great military leader. That dude was a punk. Okay. When you read up about him, the two nations have been close allies in many conflicts in the 20th and 21st centuries, including World Wars I and II, the Korean War, the Cold War, the Gulf War, and the War on Terror. Although the UK and the US have close relationships with many other nations, the level of cooperation between them in economic activity, trade, and commerce, military planning, execution of military operations, nuclear weapons technology, and intelligence sharing has been described as unparalleled among major powers. See, so some background on what this dude talking about. The Labour leader said the UK had many important relationships around the world with nations such as China and India, and distanced himself from the enduring bond with the US, saying no one has ever succeeded in defining what it meant. Yeah, so that's all. Okay, that's all that needs to be said. That's probably some damn scoffer calling. Okay, so this is Mark 3 and 23. And brothers know these scriptures. But again, I'm not going to be negligent to put you always in remembrance of it. This is Mark 3 and 23. And he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. Yeah, the house of Esau is divided. Okay, that special relationship, that's not flourishing right now. Okay, it's on the brink of collapse, and according to biblical prophecy, it is going to collapse. This is Job 18:7. The steps, I'll start at 5 actually. Yea, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. And we know the wicked, according to the scriptures, are these so-called white people known as Esau or Edom, according to the scriptures. Okay? And your light is being put out. Everybody's recognizing that you're the devil, and that's why you have other Edomite countries, namely these those in Europe, also them Australians, the New Zealanders, them Kiwis. Okay, they're trying to distance themselves from you so-called white people over here. Why? Because they see that there's a paradigm shift. Yet the devil here, the so-called white man here, whose look was more stouter than his fellow, he's disdainfully proud, man. He's super haughty, and he can't come to grips with that. See, Corbin said, well, look, we got India, China, which are so-called people of color. Okay, you got Moab, which are the so-called Chinese, and Elam, which are the so-called Indians. Because they know that their light is being put out. So they're trying to distance themselves from this devil over here, because they know that this devil's going to fall. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and that's what's happening. Okay, the so-called white man, his strength, his power is being made more difficult, because straight means difficulty. When you're in straits, like that old saying, you're in dire straits, or you're in a straitjacket, you can't get out. So it says the steps of his strength shall be straightened. Yeah, so everything is being made harder for the so-called white man. And Trump is making it harder for you, man. Trump is the embodiment of that. Because everybody is catching on to the fact that you're the devil. Your divide and conquer tactics aren't working. Yeah, like I was talking to this so-called East Indian dude, which he's from Bengal, which he has to be an Israelite. This dude said he wanted to come back in a reincarnation as a Benjamite. Okay, so he might just be a Benjamite. All right, but he's for sure an Israelite, and he was talking about the British and how they conquered and they took all the gold, pretty much put them in slavery. Because, quick side note, the slavery was outlawed in the British Empire, except for in India in particular, what they're doing to those people in Bengal. So I believe a lot of them are Israelites, man. You look at them, their spirit, the way that they look. A lot of those people in Bengal, they're Israelites. Because I met a chick too, man, this fine ass chick from Bengal some years back. And yeah, she had a different spirit. She wouldn't know Elamite, and she was from Bengal. So it says, but anyways, getting back, the steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. Yeah, and what's his counsel? Or you got NATO, which NATO ain't nothing but the those EU countries, along with Canada, the US, and also Turkey's up in there, which Lord's will, I'm going to do a lesson on that. Okay? So it says, and his own counsel shall cast him down. And you see that because they're divided. That's why Corbin said what he said. That's why he said the labor leader said the UK had many important relationships around the world with nations such as China and India, and distanced himself from the enduring bond with the U.S., saying no one has ever succeeded in defining what it meant. So he's distancing himself. This is the counsel of the so-called white man being cast down. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. And that's eventually going to culminate in what? Let's get it. Revelation, the 17th chapter. This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, and the 10 horns is EU, and the beast is NATO. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. And the whore is talking about America, the whore that sitteth upon many waters, when you read the first verse. Okay, so, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, which Britain is a part of that, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And what Corbin is saying right now, and what all these other different European nations are saying, this is just a prelude to this prophecy coming to pass. This is just a buildup. Okay, these are the steps that are manifesting on earth, which is going to lead to this spiritual prophecy being fulfilled here on earth, man. I got one more. Jeremiah 50:11. Because ye were I'll start at 10. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil shall be satisfied, saith the Lord. And Chaldea, that's representative of America. Because you read the book of Jeremiah, it is talking about ancient Babylon in some instances. And in other instances, it's speaking about this Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. And in some instances, it applies to both time periods. And only a spiritual man can discern that. Because you were glad, because you rejoice, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, what's the heritage of the Heavenly Father? The Israelites. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and their descendants, which are dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth. You are the Israelites. Because you are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. Your mother shall be sore confounded. Now, what's the mother of Babylon? Is Britain. Okay, because America was once a colony of Great Britain. And then that goes into the Revolutionary War, 1776, and all that BS. Okay. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. That's talking about America. Okay. So that's pretty much it. All right. This is the prophecy coming to pass, and we see it happening before our eyes. And even though we may hit the same precepts, because it's just the same thing. Okay, it's just furthering on to these prophecies coming to pass. These are just steps in the midst of these prophecies being fully fulfilled, man. So in the midst of that, certain same type of information is going to come out. Certain scriptures are going to be reiterated, and we're not going to cease from that. Okay. So Lord's will, you brothers were edified. Call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and death to America.